Today on Wine Access Unfiltered.
This is a great story. If you've never heard of me, this is a great story. It's a good way to meet me. In 1996, Rolling Stone magazine called me and asked me to be like a liaison for them to meet the school of Florida State. And my buddy Blair passed me the phone. We were about to play Frisbee golf. And he said, my name's Eric Hedegaard. I'd like to do an article about Florida State. Your name has been brought up like 4 or 5 times by other people, like the president of the school, president of these fraternities. And I was wondering if I could stay with you for like a week and just kind of follow you around. And I exhaled my bong hit, and I was like, sure. And he was like, were you just taking a bong hit? And I was like, I was. And he was like, perfect. I found the right guy.
Well, welcome to the Wine Access Unfiltered podcast. Vanessa, when we started this podcast, do you remember who my dream guests were?
Well, I know that one of them is a guest today, and
yes,
I know that you're excited because you've been texting me nonstop.
I've used the word excited a lot in this podcast, and excited, I cannot overstate my excitement. This is truly dream come true. Not that we haven't loved and been excited about all of our podcast guests, but literally when I started this podcast, I had one goal. Somehow, some way, the universe aligned for that to happen, and we've done it. We got Bert Kreischer on the podcast. I'm over the moon and really, really hoping that I don't fangirl the heck out of him today.
Oh, I'm legitimately worried about that. I'm kind of I'm approaching today like I might just have to hold this together myself because I have no idea what Amanda's gonna do.
You're about to see a new side to me. No, I'm gonna try to keep it, calm, cool, and collected because we're professionals and it's what we do. And I just think it's so funny. I was thinking the other day as we were approaching the recording for this, I was like, I've served LeBron James, Mariah Carey, Carrie Underwood, Derek Jeter. I mean, like, I have interacted, served, and had conversations with the most famous celebrities in the United States, maybe on the planet. And yet I have never been more nervous to talk to someone today that I have for Bert Kreischer. But I think the only thing that really has sort of calmed my nerves is just knowing what an awesome guy he seems like. And I don't know. I think it's going to be a really fun show. So for those who don't know who Bert Kreischer is a comedian, podcaster, and reality television host. Got his start as Bert the Conqueror on Travel Channel and then also did a show called Trip Flip, but now has been crushing it in the last few years as a comedian. He's got 2 Netflix specials, a Showtime special, famously told a story called The Machine about a time he robbed robbed a train in Russia when he was in college. I encourage you to look it up because it's real. I think most people will know that he loves drinking wine. In real life, like on his podcast, he is frequently drinking wine on Two Bears, One Cave and Bertcast, but he also enjoys drinking wine at a treadmill and also is known for doing a lot of comedy without his shirt. So I'll also be curious about that today. I didn't know where to go, honestly, for the wines for this until I had a conversation with him and learned that he's in the process of building a wine cellar. He's wants to get more into wine. And so I felt like we should give him a couple of wines that will help him get on that journey.
Well, I think you chose really well because I think to your point, one of these you definitely, I think of it as like a collectible wine, something you would put in your cellar. But then one is just a really fantastic wine that is from a country, not just a region, but an entire country that we have not consumed in our glasses on the show. So I'm excited to have something new to talk about.
Yeah, me too. And they're delicious wines. I've already jumped into them. So I'm not going to hold us up any longer. Let's get into the show. Let's drink.
By the way, are we recording right now? Are we started?
We can just start. Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. I'm Bert Kreischer. Okay. By the way, for the longest time, I never took the wrapper off. I just left it there with it just blown out of the top. And then my buddy told me there's lead in them. I'm destroying my brain. And so I just recently started taking the wrapper off. But no, I don't circumcise it.
Okay. Well.
God damn it. I left cork in here. I left fucking cork in here. Fucking kidding me?
I think most producers have figured out ways not to, kill us with the packaging. But I think that probably was valid at some time.
I thought they said that was no bueno anymore. No more lead in the foils. Yeah.
Right.
I think like for older, like you're probably good. I mean, you're good in the ones that we sent you. You're probably good at most of the things they buy. But if you decide to go open something like super old, there is a possibility of that happening.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But yeah, so this contraption, this is like one of those electric wine openers, yeah?
And it fucking sucks. It just died. God damn it. I gotta get a wine opener. Hold on, give me a second. I gotta get a wine opener. There's one right over here. Son of a bitch.
See, this is why. Never fails.
No, exactly.
Works every time.
Best $4.99 I ever spent.
Right? Although I have the really fancy one. I didn't buy it for myself. I have the the code 38. This is like $350.
What do you have?
Seriously?
Oh wait.
It's really fancy. Yeah, that's great. That's super old school. You've gone from like future to like very, very old school in a matter of seconds.
When I worked as a waiter, the rule was the wine bottle was not allowed to touch your body. You had to do it away from everything. You couldn't put it on your leg and crank it.
Yeah. But that's like how you learn. When I remember when I first started working in the restaurant industry and I had to open bottles of wine, it was, first of all, it was a terrifying experience to do tableside.
Yeah.
And then I cut myself a million times. And then when you learn how to do it, you kind of have to like prop it on something. Like to do it in the air is kind of impossible.
So what would you use, Amanda? Your leg?
Yeah. My leg, or like I would try to open it at the bar, you know, if I could get away with it before we hit the table. I mean, this was before it was a som. I was like a glorified host at that point.
Yeah, I worked at one steakhouse in New York where they wanted us to not open it tableside. That was such a joy. It took all that stress out of it. Yeah.
That's really
I got fired so quickly from that waiter's job. So wait,
Tell
when
us
did
more.
you what? Oh, I got well, first of all, I served glasses of wine like this one time.
Ooh,
thumb right in the glass.
Thumb in the glass. In the glass.
Big faux pas.
Big faux pas. I had a ponytail. My dad had a series of what we thought were cardiac infarctions, like minor heart attacks. I was home for the summer. I bought a dog, and my dad very quickly said to me, "You need to go back to school. I can't live with you. You're making me crazy." And so I packed my car, packed my dog, and I went to school. And my dad gave me his watch that summer. We all ended up going to North Carolina, and my dad and I drove together, and we had a great thing. And he gave me his watch because he thought he was going to die. And then he ended up living. He's still alive and a big drinker of wine. My dad is a big drinker of wine.
So have you carried the torch? Are you a big drinker? I mean, I know what I've seen on Instagram stories. I know what I've seen from the podcast, but like you personally, are you a big drinker of wine?
Very big drinker of wine. I love wine. I genuinely love wine. And I know, and and for whatever reason, it runs through my body pretty quickly. I have a rule. If I stay under a bottle a night, which I know sounds a lot to the average person, but if I stay under a bottle a night, I can run 5 miles in the morning at 6 a.m. and lift weights in the afternoon and get all my stuff done and have a clear head. So that's my kind of my cheat code is under a bottle. It gets tricky though, because like when you get to that last glass, you just go.
You're like, why not?
Just one. If you had one rodeo clown bottle that was open for the week, that wasn't that great, so you didn't enjoy it, and you could just little top, just want to take into the bed with you, you know?
Yeah, I think that sounds like a great idea. I mean, there's half bottles, but that's not the rodeo clown size.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
A half bottle just gets murdered in my family. Little spliffs. Hey, cheers, ladies. Thank you for having me on.
Cheers. It's so good to have you on the podcast. This is very, very dream come true, and I'm excited.
I'm trying the
Larkmead.
No. The
Quinta
Noval.
Quinta Noval.
Yeah. So two things. One, I know you're not shy about drinking wine or any other beverages on podcasts. But has anyone ever required that you drink on a podcast, or is this your first time?
This is my first time.
It's a deal breaker for us, right?
Yeah.
I mean, total deal breaker.
And I got to be honest with you, I think podcasts are best with a couple drinks in you.
I agree.
I have always enjoyed when, like, the other day, I had Tom Papa over to my house to do a podcast. I have a new podcast studio, and I opened a bottle of wine, and he said, I was hoping you'd open a bottle of wine. I said, really? He goes, I just want like a nice glass, that one glass of wine, a little too full poured feeling in my head. And we had a bottle of wine, had a great podcast. And I think you're a little more comfortable talking. The average person is more comfortable talking with a little booze in them. But I know for a fact that on my Bert casts, when there was a period where I would just do boozy Bert casts, and we'd do them at night, and I'd bring in like 4 comedians, and we would get trashed and just have a blast and say the most regretful things. Like now with cancel culture, you look back at those and you're like, I wish I could just erase all of those, but they're already out there.
Did you ever listen later and you're like, I thought I was hilarious and I was just like, out of control?
No, oddly enough, I am just as funny loaded as I am sober, which kind of leans itself towards that's why I don't drink on stage. And because I don't need to. But and then when I get drunk, I think it's fun, and people don't, oddly enough, people don't see me drunk very often. I'm not like a closeted
like in
drinker.
person.
In person, people don't see me drunk a lot. My friends do, my close friends do. But like, and Tommy's seen me drunk. Tom Segura's seen me drunk a bunch. Joe has, Stanhope, Joey Diaz. My closest friends have. But for the most part, people in the public, they assume I'm wasted all the time.
Well,
and it's just, I know, right? And it's just not. It's oddly enough, it's not how I operate. But I'll take it.
I think that's a good thing. Like, I hope someone always thinks that, like, I'm just having a grand old time all the time, whether or not I'm drinking or not. That's like a really great way to operate life.
Yeah, I really enjoy this wine, by the way.
Good. All right.
Yeah.
So we selected 2, as we always do. The one that you're drinking right now, that's the Quinta de Noval. That's actually from Portugal, and we have not had any wines from Portugal. But I selected it because one of the things, on the podcast, one of the things that you told me, which I have to say has really stuck with me, and it's when you're shopping for wines, you buy one that's 20, one that's 40, and sort of go by the label that kind of like looks the fanciest and is generally from Europe. And I was like, well, this is $38 and it's from Portugal and it kind of looks pretty fancy. I was like, I feel like if Bert were shopping, he'd like grab this off the shelf and pick it up and it would be something really cool. So that's why we picked that. And then the other one is the really fancy one. We try to always do not always. We try to do highbrow, lowbrow sometimes. And the other thing you had mentioned was you are maybe in the process of building a wine cellar. And so as I got to thinking about Bert's wine cellar, I was like, what would that look like? And we talked about some of the things that you really enjoy drinking, which we'll talk about on this podcast, sort of on the daily. But then I was like, well, what if you want to break something out that's like really fun and fancy? How does one go about doing that, when you're first starting to put together that cellar? And one of the ways that you do that is you buy the old stuff already. That's really, really good stuff that already has age on it. And then you buy that same wine new and you let that sit. So we've got a 2010 Larkmead Solari, which is ready to go right now. And now you can buy more fancy stuff, probably a little less expensive, and just let it sit for a while and you can drink the stuff that's ready to go now. So that was the thought process.
After that conversation, my wife has fully committed to a wine cellar.
Yes. I love that.
Fully, and said, Bert's got a hookup where we can do a wine cellar and we can get good stuff. Like we can get good stuff. And then she got so into it the other day. I almost tried to call you 2 nights ago. 2 nights ago, my wife gets a text and they're like, yo, Bevmo's got a 5-cent buy one bottle, get the other bottle for 5 cent sale. Yeah. And so we spent $1,000 on wine, saved $488. But Great. Do you know how I chose the wines?
I would love to know. I don't know.
The same way you do it in a cigar shop. Whatever box is the most empty, those are the good cigars. That's what the people know. So
that's actually a really good hack.
Yeah. So any wine who had like 1 bottle left, 2 bottles left, those are the wines that I picked. And I didn't even look at prices. I just went and grabbed a bunch of like anything. And then if there was something that was like totally empty, I'd be like, do you have any more of these in the back? And they'd be like, I'll check. And so that was how I selected the wines.
That's kind of brilliant. I saw this haul that you guys did on IG stories, and I love that Leanne had 2 bottles of champagne in her shopping cart, and you had like all the rest.
I had 2 cases. I bought 2 cases of wine.
I love it.
So anything that you've opened that you're like, this is actually pretty good?
The one we had last night was actually really enjoyable. I'll tell you exactly what it was. It's still in my stories. My wife, it's so funny. Last night I posted, this is what it is. It is Firestone Merlot.
Oh yeah, this is the one you posted
last night.
You posted in your feed too. You had this with like a very delicious looking spread of, that one looked delicious. Yeah,
it was actually so Leanne. Yeah, so Leanne made a loaf of rosemary bread the other night.
Speaking of Tom Papa.
So we made some. Cut some bread, and then we had these great. They have these great things in the store. I don't know if you guys have them where you are. Salami and pepperoni wrapped in cheese, and then we had a little avocado with some balsamic vinegar in the middle. And then you want to know and so like everything I do, it's always funnier when I am not trying to be funny. Like when I'm trying to be funny, I'm still funny, but like when I'm being serious.
Yeah.
That's when I'm the funniest, right?
Yes.
So last night I typed in, this was my thing. I said, it's not about hard work. So I've been working my ass off lately. Like, I mean, literally up at 6 a.m, and then I work until like 7 o'clock at night. I wrote, it's not about hard work. It's not hard work I believe in. It's treats. And that's how I live my life. If I can have treats at the end of the night, then I can bust my ass. And then I thought, what a brilliant hashtag. Work hard. Get treats, right? So I use that hashtag. But if you look at that hashtag, that is also someone who works with animals. That is the mentality you have when you work with barnyard animals.
Oh God.
Work hard, get treats.
Get treats.
So
as soon as you said treats, I thought of like a dog.
Yeah. Every post is someone at a farm working with a horse or a goat. Work hard, get treats. Yeah, it's all the posts. And I'm like, that makes total sense that my brain is a barnyard animal brain where I go, if I get a carrot at the end of the day, like I'm such a moron.
Humans are animals.
So okay, so you're up at 6, you're working until 9 for treats. Yeah. So what does that look like? Are you writing? Are you recording? What is this hard work that's happening all day?
So I have a really big project I'm working on right now that I can't talk about. But so the majority of my work is based around this project. But this morning, you want to, by the way, a glass of wine makes all conversations better, doesn't it? It slows you down a little
premise
bit.
Of this podcast. Get famous people on, make them drink wine.
Yeah.
Tell stories.
So this morning's my last dream I had right when I woke up. Me and Kid Rock. It was about 5:59 in the morning. Me and Kid Rock were hanging out backstage, and he lit a joint and cracked a beer. And he said, "I know you're friends with Chris Porter." I said, "Yeah, he's a good friend of mine." He's like, "He's a good friend of mine." I know Kid Rock and Chris Porter are good friends, and so I kind of slow rolled it in my own dream. I slow rolled this conversation. And I said, "Yeah, I know you guys are close." And he goes, "You want to party tonight?" By the way, I really want to party with Kid Rock. I really want to party with him. I got a list of people.
Have you ever met him?
No, I never even met him. And so he lights a joint. And as he lights the joint, my alarm clock goes off. And he takes the joint, looks at me, and he goes, "You going to get that or are you going to stay here?" And I go, "Fuck, I got a busy day. I got to get it." And I just woke up.
Wow.
I have very lucid dreams. That's dreams.
Very lucid.
So I get up at 6. I'm in this new phase where I'm not, this is going to sound horrible. Everyone who knows me knows I'm not a huge showerer. I don't like showering. I like to get in a pool. I believe in pool showers. I also believe in outdoor showers. I like cold. I don't like hot. So, but lately, because I'm working out twice a day, I have been getting in the shower first thing in the morning to wake up and loosen my body up because my body's really tight. So this morning at 6, I got up, I got in the shower. I started a coffee. I get out, I kind of slow roll it, like go through all the Instagram stuff, Twitter, news feed, sitting out there, half laying in bed, half sitting out there. And then around 6:30 is when I start my day. I get on the treadmill. I run 5 miles in the morning, walk 1, run 4. I had a Zoom conference at 9 in the morning. I had a COVID test. I had a haircut at 10. Got my haircut today.
Very nice.
I had a COVID test at 11. I had a Emmys panel at noon. I had a meeting at 1. I had my trainer at 2, and I had you guys at 4. And then my daughter has a golf tournament, and we're going to Calabasas tonight to greet her. It's her first golf tournament. So 2 families, since they've opened outdoor dining in LA, 2 families are going. We're outdoor dining in Calabasas at our country club, and having dinner and listening about the golf tournament. And then I go to sleep. And then tomorrow my day starts at 8. I have a meeting with my anyway, I have a meeting at 8 on Zoom. And then I have a meeting at 8:30 tomorrow morning with my trainer and that person. And then I have my trainer at 9. It's just every day. It's like 1 hour increments. And
it's a big day.
Everything's been big. It's been really crazy.
You're always busy
lately.
Though. You're always busy.
I don't have that. It's so funny. I'm so lazy. Really in life, I really am a lazy person. Like when I first
seen it.
I know, but I think I've morphed into, I think I always wanted to do something. I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And so like in college, I wanted to do stuff. I just didn't know that there were passions out there, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then when I found comedy, I was like, oh, that's what I want to do. But then you do it, but no one will let you do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you get to a place where you can do it all the time, I don't understand someone who doesn't keep their foot on the pedal 24 hours. I mean, even when, and I apologize, I'm talking so much, but even when the COVID stay-at-home order started, I was like, I'm not going to stay at home. I just had a special that came out. I'm touring. And so I started this drive-in movie theater tour that a lot of people adopted. I think it would have happened even if I didn't come up with it. But I was the first one to do that. And I did like, I think 40, 50 cities.
Yeah.
And I'm not someone who stays idle. And that's the weird thing when you talk about drinking with me. That's the part of the key that people don't understand, is that like, I love having a good time. I will not live my life if I can't have a good time. I'm not interested in it. But I also need to get a lot of shit done in order to allow myself to have a good time. You know, like I'm not the kind of guy that can just be like, like I had a buddy whose liver failed, and he was like drinking the second he woke up, and I was like, how? I don't like what? Like that escapes me. Where I go, you did that? Like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just be a little healthy and then you could do it for the rest of your life? You know?
I mean, so you need to feel like you earned it.
That is, if you're going to tat anything on my chest, I got to earn it in everything. Marriage, like I'm not the kind of guy that can, I mean, I've talked about this a ton, so I'm not like virtue signaling, but I'm not like a cheat guy. I'm not like, like I find so much value in honesty and like I find so much value in knowing that my relationship's pure with my wife, that when I cuddle with her in bed on a Sunday morning and we giggle, that I have no secrets, like shit like that is like I find super big value, and earning it is like, that's why I run every morning, because and it also shakes my head up, it wakes my head up, you know.
Is your head kind of always going? It seems like there's always just like, I mean, again, I'm going off of what I see. Yeah. But it just always seems like there's just juice all the time. Like you're just always thinking about something new and creative. And even this like drive-in idea, I was reading the thing that you posted about, I think she's your manager, Judy. Yeah, I was reading that whole thing, and it was like, you know, it was your idea to do these drive-ins. And it just was like, you're just the kind of guy that's so, or at least it seems just so hungry and creative, and it just never turns off.
I was the guy that had a million great ideas. I know, let me rephrase that. I was a great idea is a bad idea, a bad statement. I was the guy that had a million ideas and no one wanted to do any of them. And I wanted to do, I've always been an idea guy. And then now I'm at a place when I have an idea that they're not crazy. Like and by the way, they're very crazy. My ideas are very crazy. Like
let's hear some.
The monkey fist fork. Like I've been wanting to reinvent the fork for years. Like I don't like the traditional fork. Like it just seems so.
You don't like that.
No, like just like a 3 prongs into the mouth, like salad falls off it. So I wanted to do monkey fists, like a little monkey fist, steel, right? Steel with a trigger on it. And it could grab your salad and then put it in your mouth, release your salad. And then, so like, that was like a silly idea. I'm going to give you all my dumb ideas and I'll give you my good idea. Okay.
Okay.
I wanted to open a bar called Rickshaw's, but I wanted to have 5 rickshaws sitting out front of it on Ventura. Right. So you saw these rickshaws. And then the rule was if you lived within like half a mile from rickshaws, we'd pick you up in a rickshaw and you didn't have to drink and drive. And then I was like,
that.
But what it would do is it would make like a local bar feel like you don't have that in LA where that's your bar and it's your bar because you know the dude that's picking you up in a rickshaw.
Yeah.
And how much fun would drunken rickshaw rides home be every night? You'd go to rickshaws just for the ride home.
I'm definitely into it. And I feel like there's something there, especially, not drinking and drive. I love that. We have Ernie's in California, which is like this little, if you're ever back in like the Sonoma area, they do that. It's like Ernie's Gospel, like, just in that area, you know that you could just pick up. And that place is like 10 in the morning, guys are there drinking. All they do is beer and like cider. And there's like taxidermy on the wall and like an old, it's my favorite place in the whole world. It's like an old garage shop. But it's like that. I feel like you should model it after Ernie's.
I have.
You have to go.
I came up with an idea one time. I was on the treadmill. I was watching on Netflix. They were talking about the Challenger explosion, which I'm 48, so it was really heavy to me because I remember being outside Latin class eating nachos when it happened. We back then in Florida, we'd watch shuttle launches. Every time a shuttle launch came up, we'd watch it. And I'm watching it, and I came up with an idea. I was like, oh, Tom and I should do a movie called Fat Astronauts, right? About 2 fat guys who get sent to space. And what's crazy is now at this point in my career is I say that to Tom, and then people hear it, and next there's like 5 meetings set up, and people are like, I want to make this movie. It's a great idea. But the problem is I've always been that guy. Like I've always been the guy that came up with a million ideas. And by the way, some really aggressively bad ones. Like I remember Spike TV asked me, they were like, we're looking for something out of the box. I was like, I can give you out of the box. And they're like, what do you want to do? I said, I want to do a TV show called Can I Kidnap Your Kid? And they're like,
oh God,
what? I go, here's the deal. I will try to kidnap your child. Like it's a game show. Like you can't do anything different. I'm going to try to kidnap your kid. We're going to see if your kid is safe. We're going to find that out. And then if I can kidnap your kid, that's when the game show starts. Your kid's not going to be really kidnapped. He's going to Disney World with grandma and grandpa. He's going to have a great trip. But that's when you've got to negotiate the money to get the safe release of your kid. Like, see if you can get it from the bank. Do you do the drop? Do you call the police? How do you do this? And can you get the safe release of your kid? If you can, you win the money. And Spike TV stared at me and they were like, no, we'll never do that. And I was like, well, you said out of the box.
I mean, as a father, do you feel like, and if someone did that to you, would you be okay with it?
Yeah. Oh, are you kidding me? 100%. If my daughters, if someone said, you're going to play $1 million game show, can I kidnap your kids? I'd be like, it's Isla. Go for Isla, just so you know. That's the one you want to get.
Poor Isla.
She's such a different human being. She really is a different, like, just operates different. The other day I walked in, I got to tell this on stage because it's too funny. The other day I walked in, she's doing online learning, right? So she's on her computer and I see her. She doesn't know I'm looking at her. She's in class and I watch her go, Alexa, what year did World War II start? And I was like, Isla. She's like, oh, I didn't know you were here. She's taking a test. Just, Alexa, what's 7 plus 5?
Oh my God, that is so funny.
She's a very different human being. But yeah, I'd let him try to kidnap my kid, of course. What
do you think you'd do? What's the move? What's the move? What would you do?
How would I get him? How would the safe release?
Yeah.
I'd follow the kidnapper's rules 100%. I would not involve the cops. I would trust kidnapper. would say, listen, you got me. I'll get you exactly the money you want. I will have it. I will do the drop. I'll do it by myself. By the way, you can kill me there, but I need that kid. I need that kid safe. Like I think about that sometimes about like, I would never be able to rest. I'd never be able to close my eyes. I would definitely, and I'd be at their mercy. I would definitely do that. I wouldn't do the Mel Gibson. Have you ever remember the Mel Gibson movie? It was like,
yes, Ransom.
I've got your,
that was the first rated
ass.
R movies I ever saw. And I was like, why would my parents ever like let this be the first rated R movie I saw at like 8? This is a terrible idea. Like,
that was such a pimp move.
That was a pimp move.
Okay, if we're being real about it, like if my kid was really kidnapped, I would employ my fans.
Yes.
I would go, hey guys.
Your fans would step up.
Isla has been kidnapped. We need to negotiate her safe release. We need to find this guy. And I got lunatic fans, like lunatic, like we could, I mean, I had a kid call me the other day on the phone and he goes, Bert? I go, yeah. And he goes, is this really Bert? I was like, yeah. He was like, I got your phone number online. I was like, what's up, man? He was like, how come you haven't hung up? I was like, I don't know. What do you want? He was like, oh man, I got so many questions. I go, well, ask him. He was like, oh, are all the comedians depressed? I was like, nah. He was like, okay. I didn't know this was going to happen, man. I got a lot of questions. And then he goes, I'm not going to bother you. And he hung up and then he texted me and he goes, I have like 9 more questions. Can I call you? And I wrote back, nope.
Lost your chance, bud.
You had your shot. I'll answer the phone. If you call me, I'll answer the phone and I'll talk to you. I will have a real conversation. I'm not going to be rude. I'm not going to, I'll be a nice guy, but we got to make it a little quick, like
you got a busy day.
Telemarketers though.
I don't answer to telemarketers and my number got goofed. Have you heard of that?
What is that?
So I think I'm saying it right. They goof numbers. And that means that they take your number and then they use your number as their caller ID. So it's like a conduit to call. So they call using your number. So people see like Bert Kreischer and then they go, and it's in my phone, like it's people I know. And then they answer it and they're like, hello. And it's so, and I don't understand necessarily how it works, but what ends up happening, because it happens to me a ton, is that I get calls from the Comedy Magic Club, the comedy club that I'm friends with. And I'll answer it and then it'll be someone else. And then he'll call later. I don't know the exact, people listening will know the exact terminology and why they do it. But I had to get a new number because of it. I got a new number, but I haven't switched over yet.
Well, when you do, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of very disappointed fans because I have seen many a call on your podcast where people just like will randomly call you like this is a thing for you.
Yeah, I got doxxed. I got doxxed a couple times.
Yeah,
what's that? Well, I don't know what that is.
Doxing is when they give out your number and address online, and then you can just find it online. And I've been doxxed a couple times. I've been doxxed, and then I've doxed myself a couple times, where you like don't realize your location's on your Instagram, and you do something at your house, and everyone's like, "I think I know where you live, bro. You might want to take your locations off."
That's kind of terrifying, right? Like, I mean, you have a family.
It's I'm definitely, me, I'm not a very woke dude, but when it comes to and I don't mean that like spitefully, I'm just saying like who I am is like, I'm a pretty big meathead, but that's who I am, and I like that kind of stuff. Like the stuff I like is that meatheady stuff. So like, but I'm always willing to learn, and I don't think I understood exactly how terrifying life is as a female until I had young ladies like as daughters where like I would tag them in Instagram posts as a joke, I'd be like, hey, I'm doing this, I'm tagging my daughter so they can see it, and then we had some issues come up, and I was like, and I was like, this is the comes with the territory. And then Isla was like, Dad, do you have any idea how many guys DM me asking for feet pictures? And I was like, what the fuck? And she was like, she's like, men are gross. Like they're gross.
Super gross.
They really are. And I
not all of them, but
not all of them, but I think most men are just like base level gross, like just base level, like, and and then when it turns into your daughters, you start really I got very like fuck all guys, you know, like god damn it. So
well, you're a good, I mean, you seem like a good guy and
listen,
a good dad.
I'm a regular person. I try. Here's what I try to do. Here's my broken part is I want to make everyone laugh. So that's who you're gonna run in with a guy who maybe will talk too much, maybe will say something inappropriate, but not sexually, but just inappropriate about life.
Yeah.
You know. But all in the attempt to make you laugh and have a good time, and so that's where my flaws show up. But I'm not I don't know. I'm not a creep. I don't think I am.
So what does it feel like then? Okay, let's say, I'm sure this has never happened, but hypothetically,
sure.
You're trying to make someone laugh. You want to be funny. They're not laughing. You can't get them to laugh. What does that feel like?
It turns into a focus for me. And a lot of it comes out very insecure. Like there are people that just don't like you, you know, for what you look like, and just won't like you. And I think that's when you see this. That's when you see I would say a sadder side of me. Of my wife will be like, "Let it go. She doesn't like you," and I'll be like, "Yeah, but she should. Like, I'm not a bad person. Like, we're at a dinner party and I make a joke, you know, that's inappropriate, and then someone will be like, okay, I didn't need to hear that. And then I'll be like, okay, now I need that person to like me. I need that person's approval. It's the same thing. It's the reason I'm a comedian. It really is. And as shallow as this sounds, it's kind of what drives me. If I'm doing a show and there's 3,500 people in there and there's one girl in the front with her arms crossed, not having a good time, I end up doing the whole show to her. I'm glad I care what people think of me.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't care, I know guys who don't care, and they're very callous human beings. Like they really just it's like almost like watching a bull in a china shop with feelings.
Yeah.
And they're like, fuck them. And you're like, yeah, well, not fuck them. Like, they're humans also. Like, you should maybe, you know, listen to what they have to say at least, you know?
Yeah. But I think that's also why people love you so much. I mean, you have such a devoted fan base that will, as you said earlier, if I live with missing tomorrow or were kidnapped, like those fans would go after her. And it's not because you're not, it's because of all the things that I think you said are a detriment to in some ways. Like, you want people to like you, you let people in, you let yourself, you are yourself on social media, or, you know, some version of yourself. So I think
I overshare. I'm very like, you know, I regret it sometimes. Like, I did a podcast with Tommy the other day, and we weren't having a fight at all by any stretch of the means, but we were having a very sensitive conversation when it started. And I didn't have a problem carrying on that sensitive conversation. And I didn't have a problem saying things that were definitely overshares and vulnerabilities, you know, and I don't have a problem doing any of that. I think the world would be a better place if people shared their vulnerabilities and were open and honest about the stuff they're nervous about or the stuff they don't like about themselves. You know, I would talk about anxiety when I was earlier in my career, and people would be like, don't do that, man. Like, fans don't need to know you have anxiety. And I go, well, that's why I drink on planes. And like, just don't worry about it. And I was like, yeah. And then I got in bed last night and I was like, maybe I shouldn't have said all that stuff to Tom, or maybe I should have him edit some of that out. Cause like, I'm very, very, I'm very sensitive, and Tom knows it. Tom's known it as long as I've known him, 18 years. And Tom Segura. And it's become, it's been an issue in our relationship because things will happen to me and I can't let go of them. And he'll have to like talk me off the ledge. And we ended up talking about my sensitivity. And he was like, I wish I could stop it. But I can't. Like, you get really upset over things that really don't matter. And then I was like, I don't want to share with the fans that I get sensitive. Because then, you know, some fans think, oh, this is a joke. This is a bit. Let's see if I can hurt his feelings. And then I'm like, that's not what I'm looking for. So. Yeah.
But here's what I will say. And I had thought about this a lot before we were recording. You are a human being on your podcast. And I was thinking about this past year, and I left my job. I worked restaurants for a decade. I was sommelier at a restaurant, and I left to do my own thing. And so much of that, like the courage, the feelings that I had when I did that, so much of that came from listening to you after Travel Channel and talk about your like how your career had just taken a totally different turn, how you were making it happen. And all of that sharing, and I mean this with all sincerity, all of that sharing that you did at that time over weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks really stuck with me, like to the point where like I thought about you and your journey and the things that you were doing. And I was like, you know what, if Bert can do it, if this guy can do it, then like, here we are, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And I feel really good about it. And so, I mean, I don't know, I can't speak for all of your fans, but I am a genuine fan of yours. And I think it's because I love your comedy, but I also love you as a person. And I love that you've shared those things.
Oh, that is like the sweetest thing anyone could ever say to me. Those were, I'm obsessed with small details. And I remember where I was sitting and how I was sitting when all that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the feelings I had. I so distinctly remember the feelings of rejection and just like hopelessness of like, what's gonna happen to me? Like,
mm-hmm.
I was like, I have gotten, I got to tell you, I'm in like an amazing place in my career and in my life right now.
Mm-hmm.
But that time I was sitting literally at that desk, and one of the things I don't share often in that story, and I maybe I have, I don't know, is one of the things that happened to me, and for everyone that is listening that doesn't know, I got fired from Travel Channel. We were redoing our house. I was supposed to be on this big tour with Tom and Joey and Eliza, like I think a bunch of Fluffy,
mm-hmm.
Sebastian, and my dates got pulled. They canceled all my dates, and so I had no work for like 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And we were redoing our house, and like all this stuff happened. And one of the things I don't share often, and I just out of like politeness maybe, but I was on the phone with Tom and I was telling him like I don't know what I'm doing. Like I don't have any gigs. I mean, I have some money. Like I'm good with money for like now I look back and I go, I don't know how long I was good with money for, but maybe like 6 months I was good for money. I was like, but I'm gonna have to start working again. And he goes, man, it's a bummer that tour that you couldn't just do some of those dates. And I was like, the money was shit. I was getting paid like $2,500 a weekend. And it was like,
mm-hmm.
it was like 8 shows or something, or 6 shows.
Wow.
And it was a lot, and they weren't paying for travel and they weren't paying for room and board. So I didn't ended up not making, it wasn't like a huge financial loss for me, but it was a good opportunity. And I told Tom that, and he goes, wait, you said 2,500. I think you meant 25,000. And I went, no, 2,500. And he goes, you're making 2,500? And I went, yeah. I said, wait, you're not? And it was like one of those real conversations. He goes, no. I said, wait, what are you making? He goes, I don't want to tell you. By the way, now we're not only are we best friends, but we're also peers, right?
Yeah.
And I go, wait, what are you making? And he goes, I don't want to tell you. And I was like, Tom, you got to tell me. And he goes, I don't want this to fuck up our friendship. And I was like, I made a decision. I remember how I was sitting. I was arms on my knees, and I thought, can you do this, Bert? Can you hear how much your friend was getting paid for the same show and not resent it? And I went, I think I can, because I really do love Tom. I really do love him. And he told me, and his number was higher than I thought for the weekends, but they were paying for his flight. They were flying him on a private jet, and they were putting him in a hotel. And I literally did one of these where you go, whew. And I realized where I was in life and where I was in this business and where I was in my career. And I was shell shocked. I hung up with him, and I sat there going, all right, man, I got to fucking fix this. Like I can do the work. I can do the work. I can make this happen. And I got to be very clear. I had great friends in place to help me, like Bill Burr, Joe Rogan, Tom Segura, three of my favorite human beings. I'm ride or die for all those motherfuckers. Those guys, each of them. Joe put me on it. Joe, I can't say enough great things about Joe Rogan. We did the End of the World podcast. Me, him, Bill Burr, Doug Stanhope. The 4 of us did the End of the World podcast the day before my special aired. That was one of the biggest podcasts ever, the day before my special aired. And then Joe had me on his podcast the next day to promote my special. I did 2 podcasts with Joe within 12 hours. Joe is that, and everyone canceled on me for that. Bill Burr literally broke down. He goes, tell me your nut. Give me how much money do you need to make? We can get that for you in ad sales. We can get that in podcasting. You got to focus on your podcast. Tom Segura, to the day I die, that is my mother. That is my guy till the day I die. I'll tear up telling you how meaningful that man was in saving my financial stability. I was merging onto the I love small details in the story. I really do. I was merging onto the 405 from the 101. And he said, what are your downloads? We're talking on the phone. We're talking about sponsorship for podcasts. Mm-hmm. He said, what are your downloads right now? At the time, I was getting like 35,000 downloads per episode on my podcast. And he goes, okay, we need to get it to 50,000. 50,000 was the threshold on a podcast where you get sponsorship at like 1,500, 2,500 per ad. And he goes, we got to get you to 50 grand. And I was like, okay. And he goes, you got to really focus on your podcast and get great guests and we'll all help. And we got to get you to 50 grand. And he reached out to ad sponsors to our ad sales team that I work with to this day. He said, he will get there. He will get there. And I did get there. And the day I got there, I got ad sponsorship. And the second I got ad sponsorship, all of a sudden I was so focused on my podcast that it just started growing every week. It was like 10,000 more, 10,000 more, 10,000 more. And then I got to a place where one day I was sitting with my business manager and we're sitting in his office and he goes, so you made this much on your podcast last year. And I was like, wait, that's more than I made on Travel Channel. And he was like, oh, never get rid of that podcast. And then all of a sudden Tom's like, let's us start a podcast. And Bill goes, let's us start a podcast. And then you have 3 podcasts. And then all of a sudden you go into a pandemic and you go, how am I going to be financially? And your business manager goes, well, how's this going to affect podcasting? And you're like, what? He's like, can you still do your podcast? And you're like, yeah. And he was like, oh, you should be fine. And you're like, I mean, this little nurturing, as you guys know, and you know how important these are to us. This is, by the way, this is why I do a podcast like this, because motherfuckers put their neck out on the line and did my podcast when I needed downloads. And I know that a name will get you downloads. And I know that a podcast name gets you even better downloads. Those dollop guys came in. Everyone rallied around me to get me to a place where I could pay for my family without needing to do television. And I didn't do television again until recently. I did the Go Big show.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, but so when you say that, by the way, when you say that, those are all very real moments in my life. And it's so heartfelt that when you say that, it means the world to me.
Well,
should I go to the good bottle of wine now?
You should. I think on that note, we should cheers for that, because I swear to God, I made it through COVID, in an amazing way. I mean, we all struggled in our own ways during that time, but me leaving, there's a quote, the one of the most addictive things in life is a steady paycheck. And I left a steady paycheck.
Oh, it is so detrimental. A steady paycheck can fuck your head up. It really can. It will, and it did. And I there were so many things that you just said that were like, oh yeah, like I know that feeling. Like I left my job. I gave notice 3 weeks before the California shutdown, completely unrelated. And I had just like you, I had all these gigs lined up. I had speaking gigs. I was supposed to go to Aspen for Aspen Food and Wine. I was like, all right, I'm good. I calculated out. I was like, I'm good for 6 months. If I can get through 6 months, then I can, keep going. And every single thing was canceled. Everything gone. And I was like, well, shit, I guess I got to pivot and figure it out. And I watched you figure it out. I watched other people figure it out. And I was like, I'm going to figure it out. It's going to happen. And I mean, we're here. So cheers. 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 Cheers.
I love that. Thank you for being on this podcast. I mean, it's not lost on either of us, how valuable your time is and spending the time with us to drink wine. It's great.
This is, I love this. I love a great conversation. I love the feeling when you get excited about talking. And by the way, I genuinely love this wine.
Yeah.
This wine tastes like sweet river brook water. If you got, I remember a dude one time telling me, did you grow up on well water? And I was like, no. He goes, well, if you grew up on well water, you can't enjoy water unless it's well water. And I was like, thank God I never touched well water. Then I had well water and I was like, oh, this tastes like farts. Like, fuck this. This tastes horrible. And my wife grew up on well water. She was like, it's like a real poor thing, I think, is if you grew up on well water. And my wife goes, let me try it. And she tried it. She goes, oh God, I love this taste. And I tried to get into it, but there's a certain, like, I don't know what it is, a mineral where you taste it and you go, oh, and this has like a sweet, it's almost like it opens up the back of your tongue and allows a lot of aromas to get into your nasal passage. I really enjoy this wine.
Well, good. I'm glad. I have to tell you, I mean, you're a beverage guy, and I have always been impressed about the way that you can talk about anything you're like eating or drinking. And I've seen, like, even down to, like, oh my God, I was laughing so hard earlier today. I was pulling up old clips of you talking to Tom about Kool-Aid, and that clip, if anyone is listening and has not watched the Kool-Aid clip of you guys, of Tom learning for the first time how much Kool-Aid you drink in a day, it is probably one of the funniest things you'll ever watch in your life. But it reminded me that, like, you are a guy who loves beverages and can talk, and you talked about like Pepsi and Coke, and like you talk about things in a way that's like very sommelier-esque. So I was really interested to see how you would talk about this wine, and you did not disappoint with your Riverbrook comment, because I think there's this term you use called minerality, and it's sort of a weird, like, polarizing term, but I think this wine has a lot of minerality. There is like an earthiness, like a mineral water thing going on in the back here. So well done. I think, if comedy doesn't work out for whatever reason, I mean, you can come over this side. We'll take it.
By the way, I watch it. What is that? I'm sure everyone hates it in the wine industry, but that Russell Crowe movie where he buys a vineyard in France.
No, I love that one.
I love that movie.
I love that movie. It's like Marion Cotillard.
Very good year.
A very good year. Yeah.
Very good year.
No, I love that movie. I love any wine movie though, because they're always so beautiful.
Oh, I want to live on a vineyard. I want to live on a vineyard so badly. I fantasize about it, but I also, here's the weird thing is with my brain, I wonder how I'd operate on a vineyard. Because I know that, like, to be that guy, you got to be able to have wine in the morning, have like a sip of wine in the morning, and then taste it. I don't know if I would end up just partying balls all day long and just being like, screw it, let's light cigars. Who wants to smoke blunts today?
You wouldn't,
I think
because you'd get so into the, like, viticulture of it.
Yeah, and it's so much work. And what you described before is you need to earn it. So even though you would be working around vineyards and wine, like you gotta, bust your butt to earn it, owning a vineyard.
What? That's really interesting you say. So I'm gonna tether that to, like, who I am today. So I have a really hard time. Like, a very micromanaging when it comes to showing comedy to my daughters and my wife and, like, friends. Like, if they don't like what I know's good, I get really upset. Like, I go, like, hold on one second, stop. You weren't listening. You were on your phone. You got to listen to this from the top. And my wife will be like, baby, I just don't like it. I'm like, no, it's hilarious. And you're not giving it an opportunity. You're not listening enough. And so I assume that if I got into making my own wines, that I would never enjoy a dinner ever again. I'd be like, you're drinking it too fast. You got to wait, hold on. Take a bite and then take a sip. Like, oh, Jesus Christ.
That is the way you're supposed to do it, by the way. Take a bite, then take a sip.
Yep.
You nailed it.
You'd be right. Might be annoying, but you'd be right.
I would be annoying.
Eventually
as shit.
You'd give up, though. You'd just be like, fuck it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
No, the wine business is great, though. I think you would thrive.
I would love it. I would genuinely love it. I would be curious to know the stereotypes of the guy, of the men. I say men because I think of myself in this scenario, but I know the stereotypes of the guys who get into the restaurant industry. Like all my buddies that were in, I know that stereotype. And then I would be curious to see which guys pivot over to wine and then get into vineyards. Because I've met some of the guys, and some of the guys have like a high school football feel where it's like, big hands. Their dads are farmers, but they're not technically farmers anymore,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's I think we both live in Napa Valley. I'm not there now, but Napa it's filled with, like, generational farmers, but it's also the aspirational ones as well. Like the ones that made a lot of money in Silicon Valley and then they moved to Napa and they're like, they put a vest on and a pair of Blundstones and are like, we're doing it. I'm like, but are you?
But are you?
But I think that you would appreciate, and maybe not so much in Napa Valley, but like in any wine country, I think you would appreciate there is people who are in that side of the wine industry. I'm not talking about somebody, people that are vintners, people that are winemakers. There is such a groundedness to that sector of human. And they're so like, they're like totally your people. That is your tribe 1000%, because they're like, cool, you know, they don't want to overdo it. They're kind of like you, like they want to earn it. They want to be out like doing the things, they're working all day long. But I think at the end of the day, like they do it because they genuinely enjoy wine. And all the things that encompasses. And it's not just drinking, it's eating, it's playing, it's swimming in the pool, it's working out. And it's like, it's a lifestyle for everyone in that side of the business.
Yeah. Well, and at the end of the day, it's farming, right? And everybody is at the mercy of Mother Nature. So you can have all the bravado in the world, but you know, she deals you a bad hand. You can't fake that, right?
Yeah. Well, I very much enjoy, I guess it's horticulture. Is that what it's called? If you farm,
viticulture.
Viticulture. Well, I grew marijuana plants, and I had a lot of fun growing marijuana plants. Like I had so much fun just going in and smelling them and seeing them, and like I really enjoyed it. I really, really, really enjoyed it, and I got way too into it. I ended up buying. So what I did is I bought 4 plants for me, and then all of a sudden I was like, well, why would I just do 4? You can do 6 in California. So I bought 4 more, and then I was like, I'll just do 8. And then and my wife's like, no, you can only have 6. So I gave 2 to a friend, and then I was like, oh, we have this group of friends, 4 friends called the Campers, and so I bought everyone marijuana plants. I bought everyone 4 plants. And so everyone got 4 plants, and then I was like, let's challenge each other, see who grows the best marijuana. I had so much fun growing marijuana, so much fun, but I didn't enjoy the harvest. I never smoked it. And I didn't like, I just enjoyed growing it. It was such a blast. So I think I would really enjoy, getting up and going out and taking a look at what you're growing would be fun for me.
That's what I'm saying. I think there's something in that. I mean, maybe not tomorrow, but you know, at some point. I moved from New York City to Napa Valley, and I didn't think that I would be okay. Like those first few nights where you literally hear crickets, you're like, what's going on? And then you start visiting the vineyards and you're like, oh, like there's just human beings, and they're like literally one with the land. And I took to it so quickly, and I miss it so much right now. I'm on the East Coast and I miss it every day. I miss the smell. I miss walking around the vineyards. I miss checking on the vines. Like it's like I don't understand. Like they're an extension of like your family, like the vines are your family. And literally, like, I mean, we'll get teary-eyed talking about it, but like when the fires hit Napa Valley, like it's my home, it's the vines, it's the people, it's the place, it's everything. Like it's just you can't help but to like be so sensitive about it. And I think, you know, as someone that is, and you're a sensitive guy, I think that you would really just really appreciate, you know, everything about living in wine country and, you know, being part of that industry, because it is just so like grounding.
So how much money does it take for me to do a small batch vineyard? Like awesome. Like here's the question, right? So I can sell merch, right? So what if I sold like, this is what's wrong with my brain, is my brain immediately goes to business. Every time I start going, how do I get into this? Like,
I think that's a good thing.
But I would love to do 2 Bears, 1 Cave wine. Me and Tom to invest in do like our own. I wonder if I'd want to do a rosé. It sounds crazy, but a rosé seems like a 2 Bears wine, like something fun to start I just always start off with the 2 Bears rosé, because rosés are fun and light, and they always seem like no one fights after a bottle of rosé. Everyone's like, maybe we go something darker. I think we're done with rosé, but like, or maybe like a Merlot, like maybe it's a good eating wine where you could have steaks with it. But like, how much would that cost?
Well, it depends what you want to do. I mean, if you want to like buy the land and farm it yourself, that's a different story. But if you just wanted like a 2 Bears, 1 Cave wine, like that's that's totally feasible. And we could get off this podcast in whatever time we're going to get off this and talk about that, because that's a total possibility. It just depends like how much input you want yourself. Like, do you want to blend it? Do you want to make it? Do you just want your name on the bottle? Like, there's different tiers. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. There's different levels where you can be as hands-on as you want or completely off.
See,
So
I have a plan of Tom and I being billionaires, and we're running out of time. And so we got to start really quick. A billion's a lot of money. So we started a sports management company that I think we're going to be in the red in for a while. And we didn't quite know what we were signing up for. And we've got some sponsors, Two Bear Sports Management events going on, but it would be great to have a money-making side of our businesses. So I would love to, let me call Tom and see if he's into doing a wine.
Let's do it.
I'll FaceTime him. Tommy.
Yeah.
Hang on, I can't hear you. Hang on one second. Hang on, I can barely hear you. Are you on?
Yeah, I'm driving, man.
Are you driving? Okay, hold on. I'm doing a podcast right now. It is called Wine Access Unfiltered. Would you be interested in us doing a Two Bears, One Cave special edition wine?
Special edition, just wine?
Yeah, we just do a wine, like us do a wine.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm on it. All right. I'll talk to you later.
The good thing about you is that any wine works.
Yeah. He said the good thing about me is that any wine works. So yeah, you're right.
You're just like, is it wine?
we want a high alcohol content is what he's saying.
Understood. No problem.
No,
the right place.
Is what we're doing.
Where are you guys at this weekend? Are you guys in Kentucky?
Omaha.
You're in Omaha?
Yeah. You know, it's the Kentucky of the North.
It's the Kentucky of the North. I'm so glad I don't.
Recording right now?
I'm recording right now, but no one can hear you because your volume's not coming on speaker on my phone.
Oh, no, I'll tell you later, man.
Okay. I am so glad. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. I love you. All right. So Tom and I are interested in doing a wine.
Tom's in. All right.
Yeah, Tom's in.
We can make
what kind of financial commitment are we
talking to the
at?
right people.
Oh. Well, I'm not the numbers guy. That's Joe Fish. But no, I mean, I legitimately, this is something that I will not speak for Vanessa, but I have talked with AJ about this prior, because I'm so glad that you brought it up, because in my mind, whenever you're drinking wine on Two Bears, One Cave, I'm like, why do they not have their own wine? They just need their own wine. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, this is how we become billionaires.
That's what I'm saying. Like, every time I'm like, I want to buy merch from you guys. And I'm like, let me just buy your wine. I'm into that. I feel like everyone listening would be into that too.
Do you realize what a great billionaire I'd be? Like, I mean, like,
you'd be the best. You'd be so generous. I know
how
generous
you are. Tell us
about
it.
I only need
what
a
does that
couple.
Look like?
Okay. All right. First of all, I mean, if we're going to be very honest, I can't imagine living off of $12 million a year. That seems like a lot of money, right? So out of my billion, all I really need, 12, by the way, 12 is generous, is very generous. My lifestyle is I literally had the COVID guy come to my house today, and he's in the front yard, and he was like, I'm here for Bert Kreischer. And I said, yeah. And he goes, I think I'm at the wrong house. I'm looking at this small little white house. And I go, that's me. And he goes, you live here? And I was like, okay, man, you could just say I saved money. Yeah. Anyway, I was like, yeah, I don't need much. I don't need much at all. We were building a new house right now, and it's still not that expensive, in my opinion. And so 12 million, all I need is 12 million. 12 million is a lot of money for the record. And so.
You want 12 million a year or 12 million in your bank account?
12 million in my bank account. That's all I need.
All right.
Like, I know a guy who made $12 million. Let's just call him Sebastian Maniscalco. And he's got a lot of shit. Okay. So that's all I need.
You just want fun tokens.
I got $1 billion to play with. First thing I do with my $1 billion is I take care of women across the world, not just LA, not just California. I'm really bothered by the women that have like the bad stuff happening to them in like third world countries. That really upsets me. That really upsets me. And it upsets me because my freaking daughters bring it up all the time. So I just clean that shit up right there.
Okay.
I just go out. I'm dumping $500 million into making the world a better place. Oh, children. I'm taking care of children too. Number one, there's no child in
children are first.
Women and children. That's the first thing we do. We're cleaning up the world. They're going to be so happy. Schools are everywhere. Everyone can get whatever they want. And then we're bringing back Shamu. No, I'm kidding.
Well, you had me at first.
We're reopening SeaWorlds everywhere, just everywhere. I'm tired of these because liberals taking away our whales. You gotta. No, I would do comedy for free. I do it in stadiums. I would be such a fun billionaire. I would give so much money away. How much
just come to Philly and see what happens? Like, just give money away on the streets of Philly and see what happens. Because I feel like that would be a fun place.
I fucking Philly. Let me tell you something. I gave so much money away to Philly and GoFundMe's recently. I've spent probably $5,000 in GoFundMe's in Philly lately. Really? Yeah. Like there was a guy who got hurt. Oh wait,
Chase Unfiltered.
Well, Chase is my buddy. I haven't given Chase any money. Chase right now is going, wait, hold on, I could use some loot. Sorry, Chase Unfiltered is my buddy who I worked with. He was my manager's assistant. And for everyone who doesn't know, he was New Year's Eve, went out with some friends, got a little loose, came back, tried to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night is what we think, and then woke up on the bathroom floor in the morning, was paralyzed from the neck down, just quadriplegic.
Oh my God.
Terrifying. And COVID positive, also contracted COVID that night. And so, I mean, it was a horrible way to start 2021 for us because we love that kid. Mm-hmm. And we've been kind of tracking his journey, and he has been busting his ass in rehab. And by the way, right around that time is when Tommy got hurt. So Tom reached out to him, told him, like, listen, do the rehab, bust your ass in rehab, and you'll get your mobility back. And this past weekend, he walked up the Rocky steps, and he was a quadriplegic, and he is walking.
Wow. I watched it. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was like, if you're not crying when you watch that video, there's something wrong with you.
We were sobbing. Me and Leanne were sobbing by the end. But I would be the funnest billionaire. First of all, I would probably have like a wildlife scenario in my backyard. Like I would have there are these cats I want, Savannah cats. Have you ever seen them?
This is sounding a little like a Netflix series from last year.
Yeah.
I won't say which one, but
I would have Savannah cats. They're like cats the size of dogs, and they're like really intense. They're not legal in every state, but they're really
legal in
intense.
California?
Yeah, they are legal in California. I would get one in a heartbeat. They're so badass. And then I would have more bull mastiffs.
Are these the kind of cats that would kill you?
No. They're like cats. They're like house cats, but they're really
just
big
massive.
House cats. Yeah, like they they can put their paws up on your shoulders type cats. They're the size of a dog.
That's big. That's a big cat.
That's a big cat.
Maybe terrifying.
I really recently have been enjoying animals in a way where I go, their personalities, like when you see your dog in the backyard and he's got this curious look on his face and you go, hey, and he loses it and goes, oh, it's up. Like we have a bull mastiff that has the most expressive face. And last night I was in the pool and he just came out and you could see that this dog wanted to get in the pool but was scared, and you could see it in his face, and he was doing it with his paws, like pawing at you, like get over closer. I had such a great time with that dog last night. But anyway,
that was also on Instagram stories.
It was bros before hoes. That's what I told the dog.
I had to I was like, what's Bert up to before this podcast? And I saw the dog, I saw the wine. I was like, hurry a bit, he's doing some things.
I had a really great night last night. I made angel hair pasta with heirloom tomatoes, garlic, and shrimp.
I especially appreciated the runny egg. That's a pro.
Oh, I love a runny egg.
The runny egg, I was like,
anything.
Well played, Bert. Well played.
Telling you, I'm all about runny eggs. I put an egg on everything. I got this company, Trifecta, that has been sponsoring me for eating. They send me these meals. Their meals are awesome, by the way.
Really?
Awesome meals.
Is it like a Blue Apron thing, or are they already made?
They're pre-made. They come pre-packaged. All you got to do is throw them in the microwave for 3 minutes, and they are out of this world. None of them are over 580 calories. They're usually all around 480, and they're great meals, and they're tasty. But I've been throwing eggs on them a lot.
That's okay. Eggs are like 60 calories an egg. It's like nothing. It's nothing. It's less than a glass of wine.
It's the perfect food. It comes with its own sauce.
By the way,
I pushed the cork
into
in there.
into the good wine, I push the cork in. So I've got a little cork.
That's all right.
Won't kill you.
It's an older wine. Yeah. It's okay. It happens. You know what I was thinking? It will. It's a 2010. And I don't know how you guys think about vintages, or maybe you don't. In my mind, I was like, oh, it's not that old. And then I was like, wow, like 2010 was 11 years ago. Like that's over a decade.
Ooh,
isn't that wild?
You want to do a fun game? Grab your iPhone, go to your pictures, go to years, and let's go to 2010. See what we were doing in 2010. Oh, you want to see the first picture that comes up? 2010.
See it.
Big fat Tom Segura. He was the heaviest he's ever been. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him.
Tommy.
I just started doing Bert the Conqueror.
Wow. I don't think I've got pictures back to 2010.
I don't have that. Mine only goes back to 2013.
Yeah.
These are my daughters in 2010.
Oh my gosh.
Those lunatics.
In Georgia.
Oh, you know what's so funny? I jumped out of a plane with Rachel Ray in 2010.
Oh, I love that. Yes, that was like a famous moment. People talk about the plane jumping. Oh
my God. We got our puppy Priscilla in 2010, who's since passed, but that's Priscilla in 2010. 2010 was a great fucking year. Yeah, that is me.
Wow.
And this is also me. Oh, boom.
You've aged well.
Leanne took that picture.
So I have a question. I thought you said earlier you get anxious on planes, but then you jumped out of one. So how did that happen? I
am an anomaly because I can push through anxiety. Doesn't mean it doesn't take its toll on me, but I can push through anxiety. So like the first time I went to what's the one that can prescribe drugs? Psychiatrist?
Yeah.
I don't know.
First time I went, so.
Whatever the one that can prescribe drugs is. The first time I went there, I said, I explained who I was. And I was like, I explained who I am, like what's wrong with me. I said, I have a fear of flying. And he goes, when was the last time you flew? And I said, Monday. And he goes, what do you mean you flew Monday? And I said, I flew Monday. I had to work. And he goes, okay. What did you do? And I said, I just got on the plane and I had a drink on the plane. And he goes, and you didn't have like a panic attack? And I said, no, if I have a drink, I'm fine. And he goes, and you don't have a fear of flying. Like people that cannot get on a plane have a fear of flying. People that where it inhibits their life. And I was like, oh, I can do anything. And I have done anything. I've jumped out of planes. I've jumped off buildings. I fought a bull. I've fought a bear. I've swam with great white sharks in the open water. I've done everything there is to do. I've played professional football, professional hockey. I was an MMA fighter for a day. I've done everything for television, but I have a fear of it. So I wake up that morning. It's crippling. I mean, crippling. I remember jumping off a rope swing in New Zealand in somewhere in New Zealand. And it was like a 535-foot free fall. And I woke up that morning sweating. I was sweating in bed. I was sweating. And I got in the shower. And I remember sitting like a lot of times if I have big stuff going on, I pray in the shower. And so I crouched down to say my prayers. And I was looking at the drain and I was like, I don't want to be here. Like, I don't want to be here and I don't want to do this. This is not what I want to do for a living. I was like, I don't want this feeling. This feeling sucks. And I can't get on top of it. I can't get around the corner of it. And I was like, I just want to be a comic. I just want to tell jokes. Like, how did I end up being the guy that jumps off a free fall? That's by the way, 536, I think 36 feet is an aggressive free fall. It's a very aggressive free fall. And I was torn up. I tried to go for a hike that morning or for a run. I tried to have breakfast. I couldn't eat. I couldn't have coffee. I'd be a nightmare if I had coffee. And I definitely am not the kind of guy that can just start drinking. If I had started drinking then, it would have gone away. But I'm not that guy. Like I go, you just deal with it. And then I jumped off it and I was fine. And you feel amazing after that. But I just barrel through it. My dad wrote me like the sweetest email one time. I wish I could find it. It's like one of the best emails I've ever gotten in my entire life. I had to jump out of a plane in Montana. It was the second time I jumped out of a plane. And then we were going to ride motorcycles from Montana to Sturgis. And my dad was so upset. And then he wrote me this email going like, you're my hero. Like the fact that you're afraid of doing this and you can get through it and you can push through your fear. Like a lot of people can't do that. So I can push through fear, but I do just have anxiety. COVID was a nightmare because it was just like this general anxiety where I always felt like I was about to get sick. And it just took away from the fun of everything.
You did the drive-ins and you got around during COVID.
Yeah, but then what you don't know is like on the ride home, you start going, great. So I got it, right? And I'm bringing it home to my family.
Yeah.
And so like you're in Colorado and you wake up and you're like, I don't feel good. But you've been partying for like 13 days straight.
Yeah.
Staying up until 5 a.m, eating edibles, drinking booze like crazy, eating like shit. I would give them $200 and go to McDonald's and surprise us. And then, and we would have $200 worth of McDonald's that we'd eat throughout the week. Like we just keep eating McDonald's. And then we do mashups. We do mashups and go, all right, who can make the best sandwich out of a McDonald's cheeseburger? Just the buns. And we take all our leftovers and we were like lunatics, gaining weight like crazy. But yeah, and then I'd have panic attacks and afraid that I was going to bring it home to my family. And then my brain goes, oh, okay, let's do a workaround. Let's get a beach house, right? For like 4 days where we all crash there, start trying to eat clean, drink a lot of water, still partying, but we quarantine there. And then we started quarantining there, and that took the spin off of it a little bit. It was more fun.
Well, I'm glad it all worked out. It looked like it was a little bit of fun. I missed the drive-in that was here in Philly, but
it was you didn't miss anything. It was
okay.
It was insane. It was like 2,000 cars. It was at the vet where the vet used to be.
You call it the vet. I love.
Yeah. And it was. I mean, it was like I told a joke to a guy that was a quarter of a mile away from me.
Oh man. Was that rough? Was that hard to do? I mean, I know it was, successful, but was it difficult as a comic?
Yeah, it was tough. It's obviously not the foot you want to put forward, like you want to be set up to succeed. And those are you set up to fail. But I've very quickly realized we're in a unique situation, and I'm offering, and I'm not saying this like a humanitarian, but I'm saying I was offering an opportunity for people to get out of their house in a safe way, and to just be regular again for a little bit was like all I was offering. And I'm doing an hour. I'll do an hour. I do an hour and 30, I think, every show. And it was fun. I think people are appreciative that they had that opportunity.
Absolutely.
I don't think it would work. I don't think it would work right now. And it was like, it was like a flash in the pan, lightning in a bottle moment where people were tired of being in their houses, and I know that I was, and it was bad. It was freaking amazing. It was a really great life experience.
It was a sold out show. I ended up being in Philly when I didn't expect it, and I went to go get tickets, and it was sold out, and I was like, good for Bert. I'm supposed to remind you of a bottle of wine, a notepad, a beautiful dinner, and something about a Nina Pinto or Santa Maria situation.
Wow.
Hell of a segue.
So I'm gonna get emotional.
Oh, okay. I didn't expect
this is like you caught me off guard. I told that to you. I didn't think I would. I just forgot. I just forgot about it. So in 1996, Rolling Stone magazine called me and asked me to be like a liaison for them to meet the school of Florida State. By the way, this is a great story. If you've never heard of me, this is a great story. Like if you've never heard of me, this is a good story. It's a good way to meet me. And so I answered the phone. I was taking a bong hit, and my buddy Blair passed me the phone. We were about to play frisbee golf, and he said, "My name's Eric Hedegaard. I'd like to do an article about Florida State. I'm looking for someone to kind of show me around, someone that knows a lot of people, and doesn't just know like his group of friends. And that your name has been brought up like 4 or 5 times by other people, like the president of the school, president of these fraternities. And I was wondering if I could stay with you for like a week and just kind of follow you around, kind of shadow you." And I exhaled my bong hit, and I was like, "Sure." And he was like, "Were you just taking a bong hit?" And I was like, "I was." And he was like, "Perfect. I found the right guy." So Rolling Stone follows me for a week, and then I hear nothing. I hear nothing at all. I don't know what's going on. They sent a photographer down, this guy Nitin Vidukal, to do some pictures, and he does some pictures, and I'm hoping I'm just in the pictures. Like I would love to be mentioned in this article, because I did walk the guy around for a week. He lived with me. He stayed at my girlfriend's house. Like I partied with this guy. We got him to smoke weed. He hadn't smoked weed in like forever. And he's like, you can't tell anyone about this. And I was like, well, I won't. So I don't know what I'm going to do. Now for those of you also listening, I was in college for 6.5 years and I didn't have any direction. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't have any passion. I didn't have any interests. And my uncle is a big wine collector. Big wine collector, like a ridiculous collection of wine. He's a politician in he's not necessarily a politician. He's in politics in Washington, D.C. He is a lobbyist. He kind of was one of the first guys to start the whole practice of lobbying back in the 70s and 80s. And so I don't know what I'm going to do. It's spring break. The article is about to come out. I don't know that. And everyone in my family is like, what are you going to do when you graduate? What are you going to do when you graduate? And my Uncle Jerry is my Uncle Jerry. He says, why don't you come up to Washington and you can interview with my company. Maybe I can get you a job as like a lobbyist or working in politics or something. You can meet with a bunch of people. And so I go up to DC for the first 3 days of my spring break. And in this time, the article is getting ready to come out. The articles are they're like going to press and I don't know that, but it's going to come out in like a week. I don't know anything about that. And but they're hitting me up and they're like, hey, can you clear these people in this picture? Can you get us their phone numbers? And I'm like, yeah. So I'm getting people's phone numbers. And then they send like a package of the pictures they want to use. And I'm in all of them. Like I'm in all the pictures. And I'm like, wow. And my dad's like, buddy, I think you're going to be in this article. And I was like, that's crazy. Now, little sidebar to this, the year I had robbed the Russian train, the year I robbed the train in Russia, I had gone and backpacked through Europe and I had met a comedy group called The State. They had a TV show on MTV and they're all very, very successful now. Michael Ian Black, Thomas Lennon, David Waynes, Carrie, I think Finnegan. It's a big group of comics, and I'd met them, and I had been very funny, and I'd been funny around them, and David Wayne had said, "You should do comedy," and I said, "How do I do that?" And he's told me. He gave me his phone number, and I still remember his phone number to this day. And he gave me his phone number, and I was like, "Oh, cool." And so I kind of had comedy in the back of my mind, right now. But I'm here in DC, and I'm interviewing to be in public relations or maybe a lobbyist, and I'm doing interviews all day. The first day I'm there, I'm doing interviews all day. My Uncle Jerry's not there. My Uncle Jerry is a very, 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 very wealthy man, and he says, after all your interviews, I'm like 2 days there. I want you to go down to my wine cellar. It's a glass encased wine cellar. Old big bricks, big old school bricks, like the kind of like bricks that you just don't buy. They don't make them anymore. They're all glossed over, and it's this huge wine cellar. I mean, I maybe 1,000 bottles of wine. I mean, just like
wow,
like it's a room. It's a huge. It's as big as this room, but imagine wine on everything with glass around it, so it's all safe. And then in the center is a table that my uncle bought from one of the boats that came over from the initial group of settlers from Roanoke or from it's like $1 million table. It's like either from the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria, one of those tables. It's super thin. It's got like three, it's a boat. It's a table you'd find in a boat, in like one of those boats.
Wow.
So it's got like 3 planks and there's a thing there. And he says to his maid at the time, by the way, I'm going to sound so white privileged at this. This is my uncle. It's not my dad. Okay. It's my uncle.
Okay.
He says, I picked out a couple bottles of wine for you. Have Rose open one of them and then have your dinner down there. Bring a notepad and kind of go through all the stuff you had go on today. Figure out what you're going to do with your life. My Uncle Jerry is, whew. Give me I'm sorry.
Don't
My Uncle
be
Jerry's
sorry.
my Uncle Jerry's the kind of guy that knew what he wanted to do and he just did it. That's who he is. So I go down to this table that's fucking 200, 300 years old. There's very expensive bottles of wine set out for me. And Rose his, for the longest time, worked with him in his house, brings me dinner, and I have a legal pad that I'd had all day. Oh, fuck me. I have all the notes, the people that I met, and like all the things. There's no cell phone, right? So you're there by yourself. Mm-hmm. This is going to be hard for kids to understand. Back in the day, you just didn't sit on your phone and look at your phone and scroll. You would have ideas, and you would come up with ideas, and you think to yourself. They were all internal thoughts, and you'd maybe write them down. So she opens a bottle of wine, and I have some wine, and I have my dinner, and I'm by myself. No one's in the house except for me, Rose, and her husband, and they live in a different house. And then she comes down, and she's like, "Are you good?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to sit with this notepad, and I'm going to figure out, what all these meanings mean." And she said, "What about these other bottles?" And I said, "Oh, just open them up. I'll drink them all." She was like, "Okay." So she opens up the other bottle of wine. It's my wife. And I take this notepad and I start drinking wine in this room. And all I can write down is comedian. That's it. Right? So that's all I write down is just write down comedian.
Wow.
I'm thinking like, how do I have no idea. I'm a fucking kid from Florida State. I have not been in Rolling Stone yet, right? I just know that I really enjoy making people laugh. And then I met these comedians in Greece, these guys in the State, and then I just want to be a comedian. I just want to be a comedian. That's it. Like, I'm like, how do I do that? Like, I had told the Rolling Stone guy, I was like, I wish I could just be a comedian. I said that in the article. I was like, I'll be the funniest guy in the office. Like, I just wish I could be a comedian. But you have no idea how hard that is to wrap your head around of like, how the fuck is that going to happen? Like, I mean,
yeah,
I'm just some kid. And I just write that. I write that. I get drunk in this fucking table that's like literally 3 panels wide. It's so small. And I get drunk and I go to bed. And the next day I fly to Key West to meet up with my friends. And my dad meets me at the airport. And he's got all the pictures that Rolling Stone sent them the pictures so I could bring the pictures down, find the kids that I knew, and I could show them the pictures. I could sign off on them. And my dad meets me at the airport and he said, "How was Jerry's?" And I said, "It was great. It was awesome." He said, "What do you think you're going to do?" And I said, "I don't know. I've had some great meetings." And he said, "I think you're going to be in this article, buddy. I think this article's going to be about you." I was like, "No fucking way." And he said, "Yeah." So I go to Key West. I party. I have a great time. I come home. We go to like TPC April 1st. I think it's April 1st. The article comes out and it changed my life overnight. I graduate a little bit. I don't know what I'm doing. I have this article that's written about me. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. No one wants to hire me because I said I shit on a pizza box to win an election. I mean, I've kind of like ruined my life. Like there's no one's gonna, this is before cancel culture, but no one's gonna hire the guy that did not take college serious, didn't give a fuck about college, shit on a pizza box, refused to get an AIDS test. All the things I did in that article are just fucking damning. My Uncle Jerry's upset because he's like, he's not gonna have a future. He's not gonna have a future. He calls my dad. "What are we going to do with this kid?" My dad says, "I don't know. Why don't I say my Uncle Jerry has a house in Naples?" This is going to sound so white privilegey. My Uncle Jerry has a house in Naples. And so I go down to my Uncle Jerry's house in Naples. He's down in Naples. I lived in Tampa. And we go out and we pour 2 huge glasses of wine in Naples. He lived on the beach. He had a house on the beach. And we go out in like chest high water and have a glass of wine. And he says to me, there's a lot of things I regret in life. I'm trying to paraphrase and keep it as simple as possible. There's a lot of things I regret in life, and there's a lot of things that you'll regret in life if you don't follow them. You know, what do you want to do? And I said, I think I want to be a comedian. He said, you know, I got home, I saw that legal pad, and that's all that was written on that legal pad.
Wow.
And he goes, he's like, you got to be a comedian. And I was like, yeah, no one can do that. And he goes, no one can do anything. No one can do anything. You can, it's achievable if you just focus. Just go, just do it. I said, what do I do? And he goes, I don't know. Move to New York. Where do comedians live? And I said, New York. He's like, move to New York. Give it 3 months. Move to New York. Give it 3 months. And I said, and then what do I do after 3 months? He goes, call me and we'll figure it out. If it does not work, we'll figure it out. And I said, really? I said, what about my dad? And he goes, I'll talk to your dad. Your dad will figure it out. I'll talk to your dad. And so we finish our glass of wine. We go in and I call my dad and I said, I want to move to New York. My dad said, I talked to Jerry. Good deal. So I go to New York. And my Uncle Jerry, and it keeps coming back and forth. He keeps coming to New York. He's in for business. And 3 months go by and nothing's happening. And I call my Uncle Jerry. I said, listen, nothing's happening. He goes, give it another 3 months. And so I give it another 3 months. Nothing's happening. I call my Uncle Jerry. He goes, give it another 3 months. He said, I'll tell you what, I'll be up there in a week. We'll go to dinner and we'll have a conversation and we'll figure it out. So we go to dinner, steakhouse in Brooklyn, the fucking good one. And we get done. We go to a restaurant. We have a bottle of wine. And he says, I said, so what am I going to do? He goes, you're going to keep giving it 3 months until until you're successful. I was like, what? He goes, that's how it works. You just don't give up. You just don't give up. Oh,
wow.
It's so many great conversations about your life and about where you'll go and about what you'll do are had over a bottle of wine. Over a bottle of wine. Someone opens a bottle of wine and it all of a sudden possibilities are opened up. Possibilities that'll change your life forever. That I'm so grateful you asked me to do this podcast, because I don't think I haven't been this emotional in a fucking long time. But those bottles of wine just get it out of you. Like they make it real. They make it. I mean, I haven't talked to my Uncle Jerry in a while at all. I just haven't. It's been a while. I'm going to give my Uncle Jerry a call tonight, and I'm going to say, hey, I tried the Larkmead. Have you had it yet? And he's going to go, shut the fuck up. I go, yeah, I did a 2.5-hour podcast with these fantastic women that loaded me up on wine, got me buzzed, and got me crying. That I'm telling you, that
plan
one
worked.
I'm telling you, I don't know if anyone's going to listen to this. If you can get, but
yes,
sure, this has been so meaningful to me. I sincerely appreciate you guys sharing the time with me. I love,
oh my gosh,
feeling the way I just felt. I love it. I fucking love it. And I love a good glass of wine. I'm so fucking grateful.
Thank you so much. That was,
thank you.
So I think if I had dreamt it up, which I did, it never could have amounted to what this conversation was. It was meaningful to me. It sounds like it was meaningful to you. I can't thank you enough.
It was fucking awesome. I'm so glad
was awesome.
You caught me off guard. You caught me off guard with that Nina Pinta and Santa Maria, and I went, oh shit, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna fucking cry. And I love crying. That's something I learned when I had daughters and a wife, was that crying doesn't mean you're gay. Here you go. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you so much.
To Uncle Jerry. Thank you so much. We had such a blast with you.
I'm gonna call Uncle Jerry. I should call Uncle Jerry right now. Oh, there's no way he's awake.
No.
I think he's 80 years old. Well, this is a perfect way to end the podcast. Thank you guys so much.
BertBert.com.
Yeah, you can find me. Don't Google me too hard. You may not like it.
Oh, and for those wondering, Bert was wearing a shirt the entire time. So
It comes off super easy.
We're good.
By the way, I've been working out a little bit. So
you have been working out. Well done. I think Tommy knows.
Ladies, thank you so much. I'm going to go have dinner with my daughter. Golf tournament.
Please enjoy and please keep in touch. Thank you for being with us.
I'm going to be pouring a roadie out of the Larkmead. I can't believe it.